Good morning. Good morning once again. It's Monday, which means it's time for our Monday morning high five. Myself, my brother Richard, we are going to look at Joshua chapter 13, the whole chapter. We're taking the whole chapter because it all fits together. It's all talking about the same thing. Um, Probably could have included 14 too, like 'cause it's all talking about the same thing, but there's a piece of 14 that's a little bit different. So we'll just talk about 13 today. Um, and so um the summary version of chapter 13, um, God is talking to Joshua. It says Joshua is old and advanced in years, and he's letting him know there's still land to possess. And then he lets Joshua know, um, I will do the work of driving the people out, but it's your job to set the boundaries of the land. Moses, and in chapter 13, it talks about the land that was on the east side of the Jordan. That's the land that Moses, before, well, he didn't, Moses never crossed the Jordan, but he did allocate land on the east side of the Jordan to two and one half of the tribes. And so it gives you the boundaries of that land on the east side of the Jordan. And so um, and it's very specific. Like, this is the boundary. This is the boundary. Um, and then when we get into chapter 14, you'll see a continuation of that. But yeah, that's chapter 13, the quick and dirty version. What'd you see, Rich?
For me, what I saw was just kind of verse 6 and 7, um, where, like you said, Joshua, God comes to him and tells him, like, you've done a great job, but there's still more. We still have more land to conquer and get. But he tells him, uh, where is it? Yeah, 6. Yeah, he says, I will drive them out myself. Um, he's like all the other places that you're going to give land to. He was like, I'll take care of the hard work. I'll drive them out. But what I need you to do is to divide up the land. Like, I need you to allocate it. He says, I need you to map out like who's going to be where their boundary, where their border is going to be. Um, and don't worry about like necessarily fighting. Like, I'll take care of the hard part. I'll do all the heavy lifting. I just need you to map it out. And he tells him, like, to do it now. And I just think it's just so like God, of just God being good and keeping his promise, of giving the land to his children. And we see that just we can trust God. We can, if we believe in him, like, then we can have the confidence to map out a land that we don't have yet and already know that it's ours. If we believe in him, if we trust in him, then, when God tells us to do something that we haven't seen yet or that hasn't come to pass yet, like, we can do it with confidence. Like, oh no, it's God. Like, it's gonna happen. Let me just do my part. Let me do what he's asked me to do. And I think that's how, we can look at God's word, as there's things in there, there's promises in there that may not have happened yet, but because it's God, we can take it, no, it's going to happen, and we can do our part, what God is asking us to do, to believe and trust in him. Like, we can do that and just allow God to do all the heavy lifting, allow him to take care of everything else. So that was just the thing that stuck out to me, is just, God said, like, I'll do it myself. He's not even really asking them to prepare for war again, or you're like, I'll take care of that. I just need you to do this. And that's just, we all have a part to play, like, in God's promises. And whether it's small or large, there's still a part that we need to do in order to have that promise be fulfilled. So,
Yeah. No, that's really accurate. And I mean, if you think about it, you really could argue, like, nothing has changed. Like God has been doing the heavy lifting the whole time anyway. Like they had
Yeah.
to show up. But I mean, on multiple occasions, like you saw, like God was fighting the he was winning the war. He was
Yeah.
winning the war for them. They
Hmm.
just had to be there. They had to be obedient and make sure that they showed up. So yeah,
Right.
that's a really good point. And then, I mean, when I look at it, like just looking at it, how detailed it is, how it clearly states each boundary, the boundaries that had already been established, and then the new boundaries that God wanted Joshua to draw up and allocate for the people. Um, I think, like you mentioned, it really speaks to God's faithfulness. That this was a promise that He had made so many years ago, and I think it was important to Him that this be in the official record. That if anyone ever were to go, well, I we heard that God was going to give the people land, but do you know where their land is? Have you ever, who which tribe is where? Do you know? Like it's
Yeah.
right here.
Hmm.
It's right here. Even though, in all these years later, we may not know where some of these landmarks are, but this, there is a very clear indication this is the land that they were supposed to possess. This
Yeah.
was given to them by God, and then it was made official when they set foot on it. Like God gave them that land.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think, like you said, I mean that's such a great point. I think that could also apply today is that we what God has promised us, it's it's I want to say like it's just as clear,
Yeah.
it's just as clear. Like there's certain things God has promised, like I'm never gonna leave you, I'm never gonna forsake you. That's
Hmm.
pretty clear. Like that's it's written down, it's in the record. Um,
Yeah.
you know, but I think, like you said, it becomes what is our part? Do we recognize that we have a part?
Hmm.
That if we, in a sense, um, uh, when you look at this whole affair, right? In a sense, God was always going to fulfill his promise,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that he had to do it with them
Yeah. Yeah.
because these These were the children who came out. This wasn't even the adults who left Egypt. These were the children,
Yeah. Yeah.
So he could have said, "Oh, y'all don't want that. Okay, I'll keep waiting. I waited
Yeah.
40 years, I have plenty. I have nothing but time. And so it really becomes like, do we recognize that we have a part and
Hmm.
will we kind of step up to the plate and do our part, or because God is very creative. God
Yeah.
is very creative, very patient, like,
Uh-huh.
hey, you don't want to do it now? Okay, okay. Like it's gonna get done. Like that's the bottom line. It's gonna get done. The only question is, are you gonna do it or is someone else gonna do it? So
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
Man, I think that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, and I think like we were talking about, like it's almost a little bit tempting to just like kind of skip over and go, yeah, okay, like I get it. Like it's a bunch
Right.
of places.
Yeah.
The
This is
names are hard to
land.
pronounce. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Okay, but I think it reinforces that trust. It reinforces that the reputation of God's faithfulness. That like what I say, I follow up and I do,
Yeah.
and you can see that I've done it.
Hmm.
Like you know, There'd be no reason for me to list all these places if I was just lying. Like, no, y'all didn't really have any land. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, um, yeah, just we hope that even in some even in these chapters that are like this that may seem like, yeah, I mean, there's not much there. There's still, there's still it still can tell us about God.
Right.
It still shows us about what our relationship with God should look like,
Hmm.
what it can look like, what it should look like. Um, so yeah, we appreciate you joining us for another Monday morning high five. And as always, if you leave a comment, we'll make sure that we respond. Um, and so we hope you have a great rest of this Monday, and we'll see you again, if God says the same, next week for chapter 14.